Dr. Max, as a physician and as a dad yourself, what do you look for in an infant formula?
Yeah, I mean, as a physician and as a dad who has a 12-month-old right now, I'd say there's like four main things I'm looking out for in a formula, one of which is access to that formula. So something that I could buy online, easily go to a store and purchase. And when the can fell on the floor and spilled all the formula, I could get a new one easily. So access is number one. Number two is, a protein to digest the same way breast milk does. Number three is, let's say, lactose is a true carbohydrate source, not added corn syrups. And then the fourth thing is like no palm oil. That's ideal in a formula. And I guess the fifth thing too is like organic whole milk based formula. So something that's making the natural fatty content of breast milk using whole milk versus added seed oils.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And we know that your baby girl has loved Bobbie and is thriving on Bobbie. And it just fills us with so much joy when doctors and other healthcare providers choose Bobbie for their own babies. So we love hearing the things that are important to you as a doctor and know that you found what you're looking for in Bobbie. What do you see in your practice when a formula just isn't a right fit for the baby?
I know, this comes up a lot. And I think the first thing is like undue or unnecessary kind of like blame on a formula for anything that may be going wrong with your kid, whether they're fussy or they have gas or they're constipated or, colicky, whatever it may be. I think that it's easy to just point a finger at a product or formula and say it's the formula's fault. And that does happen. Sometimes you do need to change the formula for your infant, like that 100% that happens commonly. But I think the more common thing is unnecessarily blaming a formula and then kind of translating that as a parent, being like, I gave my kid the wrong formula. And the reality is there's no like one formula that would be good for every single infant in the world. There is naturally a bit of trial and error. So, when families are choosing a formula and it's not working for their kid, the first thing is like, you couldn't have done anything differently. You tried what you had available. Now you need to switch. It's okay. So trying to remove that guilt and then, really counseling families on what to look out for if you are changing a formula, how to do it and kind of what you're trying to solve for.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And you're right that the guilt can be really real for parents. Of course, they want the best for their babies and they want their babies to be comfortable. And if a formula doesn't fit, they often feel like they've made the wrong choice, even though you're exactly right. You make the best choice that you can. You try it. If it doesn't work, you can switch to something new. At Bobbie, we are so proud that all of our formulas are designed for easy digestion. So we do have our Bobbie Organic Gentle, which is meant for babies that struggle with routine formulas. It has partially broken down whey proteins, but even our routine formulas, our organic whole milk formula is meant for easy digestion because it's whey predominant. It has more whey protein than casein protein, just like we see in mature breast milk. It's made with 100% lactose. Again, the carbohydrate that babies are biologically designed to digest. Because we know it is so abundant in breast milk. There's no palm oil. It has a little bit lower iron than we see in most US conventional formulas. And all of those things work together to help make a really easy to digest product that many parents do well with. Many infants do well with.
Parents do, honestly. It's one and the same.
Yeah, when the baby does well, the parents do well too. Absolutely. And when do you advise parents is the right time to introduce formula to their baby?
I say when you have a kid, you should have a can of formula at your house. Like no matter what, even if you're going to breastfeed exclusively and that's your plan, there's so many unknowns that happen when you introduce a child into this world. There's the unknown of what your birth experience may be like, when your milk will come in, how your baby will latch, if they have a tongue tie or lip tie, do you have inverted, nipples, is the latch not working? There are so many reasons why having some formula on day one can really just help bridge the gap, even if you end up only breastfeeding. So I think having formula, from day one is incredibly important. And then when you're going to introduce formula kind of on a more consistent basis, often just depends on what your kind of feeding journey and plan is going to be like. If you are planning to go to work and you need to wean your baby from breastfeeding onto the bottle, formula feeding, there's kind of a way to do it that I think that's easier and more gentle for your kid. But just having the formula on hand from day one, I think is the most important.
Does it matter to you as a physician where your baby's formula is manufactured?
It does, in the sense that it goes back to kind of what I initially said about formulas. One of the most important things is that you can get that formula. I think when we start sourcing formulas from abroad, it can be very difficult in terms of, supply chain, transit times, tariffs, like borders that are closed, like all those different things go into play, and that's adds a lot of stress. Is like, can I get what I need?
Yeah, I fully agree. We say at Bobbie, one of the benefits of our domestic manufacturing is that you have fewer hands on your cans. Yeah, they're just fewer touch points. You don't have to worry about, like, as you mentioned, like shipping delays and potential customs seizures, especially for formulas that are not regulated by the FDA that some parents choose to import. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the safe and efficient manufacturing and delivery and distribution of a US-based formula, but the quality of a European-style recipe. So really, I think it's the best of both worlds. So how did you first hear about Bobbie, and what do you hear from parents in your practice about Bobbie?
I mean, I first heard about Bobbie through parents in my medical practice, is what I'd say.
I love that.
And I think uniformly families were very happy with Bobbie. And when I started to really look at that, you know, parents would ask me, is this a good formula? I think that's probably how I got introduced to Bobbie, is that family asked me, what do you think of this formula? And then I started to do the research, and I'm looking at a whole milk formula that's organic, that's made in the US, third-party tested, that's clean, all of that. I'm like, that's great. I can't find anything better than that. Go for it. Yeah. So that's kind of what I naturally use for my own kid.
Yeah. I mean, when you say it like that, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, kind of.